So I want to move on to talk about response to crime and its impact on confidence in our community. I think most people would absolutely expect that when they pick up the phone to report a crime or report it online, either in an emergency or not, that they would expect a quality, proportionate service in response to it. Couple of comments from some residents in Stourport. Ingrid from Stourport: every crime report call responded to appropriately. Far too frequently, victims are left without a response. Jennifer, also from Stourport: are reports being followed up by local police? Because I personally think not, which is a bad and sad thing. And Andrew from Redditch: to be honest with you, as a victim, I've lost confidence in West Mercia Police as a force to keep our residents safe. Now, three anecdotes which are not positive, and yet there will be thousands of positive victim experiences, won't there, that will have happened in the same time that we've been collating for this session. As we move through this next 4 years, I'm interested in how we can use technology better, how we can provide a more consistent level of service to those calling West Mercia Police for help. And sometimes I think as well that is about that there is no service, i.e. engaging with the organisation about something that the force can't necessarily either respond to, or there is a proportionate response that might not be in line with the community's expectations and how those are managed. But how we improve the experience of those engaging with the organisation, looking for service.
Yes, and if there's some reassurance I can give to Ingrid or Jennifer or others, Andrew, we spend a long time looking at all the crime that has been reported and saying, have we done an appropriate investigation here? A huge amount of audit takes place, which we assure ourselves that it has or has not been dealt with effectively. And then subsequently, we're inspected on that as well. It's a key priority for our inspectorate. We also listen to calls for service to say, have we treated this member of the public with the dignity that they deserve? And recently, an independent inspection across 100 calls showed that we were being empathetic and understanding across all those calls. But you rightly highlight that where some people may expect an attendance, but we don't have enough staff to attend, that we will say, okay, in this instant, we might deal with it over video. We might deal with it over the telephone, and we'll do all reasonable lines of inquiry, potentially without attending the job. Now, some members of the public might understand that and accept that, and others might think that's not acceptable. The other thing, we need to be victim-centred. So if someone says, this has happened, but in actual fact, we think they're vulnerable, we think there might be a threat to that individual, then of course we would respond.
How does this change, though? I think we've done quite a lot, and indeed we've done quite a lot of holding to account around the front door, and we are currently where we are, and I think we understand some of the plans. But over this next term, over this next 4 years, how are we going to improve the chances that you are likely to get a level of service that you would recognise as being good or acceptable from West Mercia Police?
So there's already quite a lot of change ahead. You've spoken about technological change. We're bringing lots of new technology into our call centres that mean we can deal with the calls more appropriately. And then our focus, and our internal focus, is we're a people-led, tech-enabled crime-fighting organisation. So again, viewers need to understand we are here to deal with crime, and we will respond as effectively as we can. And certainly my ambition, the ambition of the DEP, is to continually improve that. So more justice for victims, a better satisfaction rate, and demonstrably more reasonable lines of inquiry have taken place for all the crimes that have been reported. Similarly, I mean, implicit in this is the response. So we also look at response times. Where do we deploy our officers whilst they're waiting for a call so that they can maximise their speed of attendance is also key.
I just think it's worth pointing out that we always want to solve more crime. You know, Alex and I will be entirely symptomatic of all officers in the force that we're here doing what we do because the thought of people getting away with breaking the law, particularly when it affects a victim, upsets us, disturbs us, and we want to do something about it. We are solving more crime this year than last year. We solved more crime last year than the year before. And I entirely appreciate the experience of those who've responded to this exercise, that there will be individual instances where not all reasonable lines of inquiry are followed up. And that's the test that we would want to apply. Have we identified all reasonable lines of inquiry for this crime? Have they been followed up? In a growing number of cases, that is happening, and that's being reflected in more offenders being brought to justice, more people being charged with offences, and victims getting a greater sense of justice being served.